Okay, Derek Hugel here, Wolf Industries Inc. I'm excited to get into the nitty-gritty on doing a feasibility and site review preliminary due diligence effort on a piece of property. We're looking at hundreds, if not thousands, of pieces of property throughout the course of months and years, and we've refined the process to get this down to a science. I want to share that with you. And step one is looking into the zoning and land use codes, making sure that we can fit the number of units, i.e. density, on the property that we can. So I've got pulled up on my screen just some emails coming through from local realtors that send deals my way, and let's dive in and see if any of them make sense. I will tell you this ahead of time. We reject about 98 to 99% of what we see. It's rare that we buy something, but that's because we know what we're looking for and we want to share those secrets with you. Stay tuned and let's get to it. All right, here's an email from Brendan. Let's look at what we're looking at here. Okay, here we got a piece of property located down in Vancouver. My instant thought is I look at how big is it? How many acres? Is it a postage stamp or is it a larger lot? And then where's it located? We're looking for something inside the urban growth boundary so we can increase that density. This is in Vancouver. I'm going to grab the tax parcel number right here, copy that, pop open Clark GIS, Maps Online, we accept, find parcel, tax account, paste, find. Okay, here it is. We've got a piece of property. Interesting fact, Brendan Scully is the property owner and he's the realtor that sent this over. No kidding. Okay, so we've got layers, imagery, and here we are pulling up this aerial photography. And this looks like something we might be interested in. It's 0.95 acres, but let's see what we can fit for a density on here. We're going to go to the Property Info Center, look at what jurisdiction. This is City of Vancouver. It's R9 density, but inside the codes it's going to give us more details. So lower density, we're going to pull up this section, list of zoning districts, R9. There's a chart if we scroll down. R9, it's telling us we can do household living, group living, limited occupation for home occupations, housing type. We can do some single attached dwellings with some limited options there. Single detached dwelling permitted, ADUs are permitted, duplexes are permitted. Multi-dwelling units are not permitted, so we can't do multifamily here. Manufactured home developments with limited use, new manufactured homes, designated manufactured homes. Luckily, we're not falling into that category. We're a modular home, so we don't have to do that. But this is what really gets our juices flowing, and that's the cottage cluster housing. Permitted. There's a footnote of 25 pursuant to this particular chapter. Let's go dig into those and find out what it is. Click on that 25 footnote, and that's going to bring us down to footnote 25, pursuant to chapter 20.950, cottage cluster housing standards, purpose and applicability and design standards. This is where the rubber meets the road and we want to pay attention to. Site development, when you have time, feel free and read through these sections. It's very helpful and beneficial to get your head wrapped around it, but we want to just stick to the basics here. If we're going to do a cottage housing cluster, we got to do up to 2 times the maximum density of the underlying zone. Hey, that's crucial because that allows extra density. So back to what we're talking about. In this video, we want to make sure we get the number of units correct. And right here out of the gate, it's giving us 200% or 2 times the amount of the underlying zone. So if we go back, hit the back button, and we're over here on minimum maximum densities on the R9, they're saying we can do 5,000 square foot minimum lot size and 8.7 units per acre. That's super cool. So now we got to go look at how many acres, or 0.95. So if we go 0.95 times 8.7, that's 8.2 units. at the regular density, and then we go times 2 for 200% density, we can fit 16 cottages on this parcel. That's impressive. So now that we have permission to put 16, what are they asking? They're asking $350,000 to $400,000. Let's find out more. 5 large shovel-ready paper lots, fully approved, city and ready to break ground. Existing home not part of the sale, but could be. Lots range from 5,000 to 7,916 square feet, 3 with views, 4 lots on private drive, could be gated with private drive, no city sewer to install, no city streets to add. Lots cannot be split until subdivision complete. Owners are extremely flexible in payment. We're providing the land, the engineering, and the time. You don't even have to pay till recording. Make a deposit now, pay for the lots when they record. We'll also consider 1 lot, partial payment, or 2 lots in lieu of cash at closing. Or buy the property with the contract for lease of the home and sell back after recording. Bring us a plan. Final approved engineering stormwater available upon request. Owner is a licensed realtor in Washington. So I'm not sure what they're selling us here. Are they selling us 1 lot for $350,000, or are they selling us the whole parcel between $350,000 and $400,000? Let's look and see what they paid for this. So if we go to this lot and we go to Property Information Center, like we were just at, we can see the history right here. In 2019, they did a deed, statutory warranty deed, that's SWD, that's what it stands for, sale amount of $347,000. Do you think they're going to do a bunch of work, wait 5 years, and sell it for the same money? I'm not sure. Let's send the guy a text. Or let's, even better yet, let's call him.
Hi, this is Brendan Scully with
Realty. Shoot, he didn't. Maybe he'll call us back shortly.
If you leave a message, I will get back to you at my earliest convenience. Thank you.
Hey, Brendan, Derek here, Wolf Industries, Inc. Long time no chat. Give me a ring when you got a chance. Calling about this parcel that you have off of 59th Street in Vancouver. Yeah, look forward to talking to you then. Thanks. Bye. Okay, we'll see if he's going to call us back. She's usually pretty quick at that. Okay. If we were to make some assumptions, though, and we said on his high range, $400,000, what if we did $400,000 divided by 16 doors? And we come up with $25,000 in cost of raw dirt, no improvements, no engineering, no nothing, per door of a cottage cluster development. That's not shabby. I'm trying to target around that $25,000 to $30,000 max for a piece of property. So if we can get around that target size, this might not be a bad deal, especially if the seller is flexible and willing to hold a contract. Right now, to recap, we're talking about land use and zoning. So we got to get that portion of this project dialed in. Land use meaning number of units permittable on the property, and land use in terms of if there's any special rules and regulations that we have to follow. And I happen to know that there are some underneath the cottage code. So if we go back there, 20.950, there are site developments and design standards. So we got the first one, 200% density. Then we jump into this, minimum of 4 and a maximum of 12 units in a cluster, provided that a cottage may contain up to 2 clusters. So in layman's terms, max of 24 units or 24 cottages per property, right? Because you can only do up to 2 clusters. Let's read on. Each single-family cottage shall not exceed 1,600 square feet in total, and each duplex cottage 3,000 square feet. Floor area of attached or detached and outbuildings shall count toward these size limits with the exception of the first 200 square feet of garage or outbuilding per single-family cottage, or 400 square feet per duplex. Existing single-family homes may remain on site but will be counted toward the total density. And this is very critical to look into this because we've ran into this where the existing single-family home was much larger than 1,600 square feet, and we thought we were going to have to demo the house in order to do the cottage cluster, but no, the jurisdiction here had common sense and they said, we're going to allow the existing single-family home to stay there. It doesn't make sense to tear it down. Building heights may not exceed 25 feet within 50 feet of the project site perimeter and 30 feet elsewhere on the site. Roofs higher than 18 shall be pitched at a ratio of less than 6:12. Okay, so far nothing stands out saying this can't be done modular or anything weird or particularly challenging. Covered porches shall be at least 60 square feet with no dimensions less than 5. So you're looking at a covered front porch, which adds to the look anyways. If you look at some of the other stuff that we've done on our multi-unit projects, we're putting covered porches on there all the time anyways. So that project has a bunch of porches. Look at this one. Rentals, what we did over in the Ogden district. They all have little front porches. Turned out darling. Check that out. That's so cool. Back to the task we're working on. So covered porches, got to have one of those. And not every jurisdiction has these rules. So we got to look into each jurisdiction and where you're working and what you're trying to do and where your project is located to identify specifics. Specificity is key because it's going to save you big time in the long run. Buildings shall be set back at least 10 feet from the nearest public or private road and at least 5 feet from other buildings. Buildings to the exterior property line shall be that of underlying zoning. So what's the underlying zoning? All right, dig into that again. If we go back to the R9, that's the zone that we're in. If we remember that from the very beginning, there is minimum maximum development standards. Right here, R9. Setbacks, front yard, 10 feet, rear and through is 5 feet, side yard, 5 feet, 0 if you want to deal with the fire separation. That's a hassle, putting in the firewalls and stuff. Side street yard, 8 feet, 18 feet if you're doing a carport or a garage on the front, maximum height 35, so forth. So we're going to go back to our cottage cluster code 20.950. There's a cheat way to get there. I like to get there just right here at the footnotes. Boom. Building setbacks to exterior property lines shall be that of the underlying zoning districts. So what that tells us is there's different setbacks on that underlying zone for sides and side streets and rear and whether there's garages attached and involved. So that has to be looked at closely. B, cottage orientation. Cottages must be clustered around a common courtyard and meet the following standards. At least 75%, so 3/4 of them have to be located within 25 feet of a common courtyard and have covered porches and main entries which face the common courtyard or an adjacent public street. So the cottage orientation is actually pretty important because let's say that we're coming down this 59th Street and you want a cottage facing this road, or do you want it facing inward to a common courtyard? You want that flexibility. And that's what they're saying here is at least, no, not this one, right here, number 2. The planning official at their discretion grant exceptions as needed to allow cottages abutting a public street at the site perimeter to face the street. And as needed in cases of very narrow or unusually configured project parcels, may reduce the required percentage of lots located within 25 feet of the common courtyard to 50%. Super important to have that little bit of flexibility there because, yeah, you get unusual infill projects. It happens all the time, I promise you. Okay, common courtyard design standards. Each cottage cluster must share a common courtyard in order to provide a sense of openness and community of residence. Common courtyards must meet the following standards. Common courtyard must contain minimum 200 square feet of usable space per cottage. You got to be generally square around. Nowhere can be skinnier than 15 feet. Developed with a mix of landscaping, lawn area, pedestrian, just basic, a bunch of common sense stuff. Impervious elements shall not make up 50% or more of the total common courtyard area. They basically don't want you paving a big area and calling it, future parking and trying to, shoehorn it as courtyard area. Pedestrian paths must be included in common courtyard. Parking areas, setbacks, and driveways do not qualify as part of a common courtyard. In my experience, though, this courtyard is really easy to get. 200 square feet of open space. Even if we were squeezing 16 cottages on this site, we go 16 times 200, 3,200 square feet divided by, we'll actually remember 3,200 square feet. That's 43,560 times 0.958. 43,560 times 0.95. So we got 41,382. 3,200 divided by 41,382 is 7%, rounded up to 8%. Folks, 8% of your site they're saying has to be common open area. That is a very small amount, especially when you're looking at like some of the requirements for landscaping. Just straight up landscaping on a commercial site requires 10% to be covered. That's fairly common. So 7%, 8% is very minimal. Okay, next item. We got to talk about item number D, required parking and parking design. Required spaces, each dwelling shall include at least one parking space within the project area. On street may be counted towards this requirement. Hey, that's handy. So what they're saying is if we put some on-street parking right here, that counts towards the site. That's huge. That gives all kinds of more options. Okay, number 2, common parking area. Parking may be located adjacent to an individual unit or a common parking area. Common parking areas are subject to the following standards. Cottage clusters with fewer than 12 are permitted parking clusters of not more than 5 continuous spaces. So they're telling you got to have 5 and then you got to break it up with an island. Clusters with 12 or more are permitted not more than 8 continuous spaces. So you can do 8, do a parking island, and what we're talking about by a parking island is this. If we just zoom into a massive parking project, these little islands or bulbs that poke out are what they're referring to as islands. So you get into these smaller ones. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 continuous parking stalls. This would be 3 continuous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This would be 9 continuous parking stalls. Now granted, this is a commercial site, commercial land use, totally different, but still gives you the idea of what they're talking about from a continuous parking stalls. Parking clusters that be separated from one another by at least 4 feet of landscaping. Again, just like what I was pointing out here, these little islands can be considered as 4 feet, 5 feet, but they're saying a minimum of 4 feet. So, clustered parking areas may be covered. That's cool. You guys have seen those before where you've got the covered awning that sits over your car. That would be very convenient. All right, let's look at what the next parking requirement is. They get into the nitty-gritty. Off-street parking areas with 5 or more spaces shall not be located within 20 feet from any property line, abuts a street or other than an alley. No off-street parking space or vehicle maneuvering areas permitted between a property line that abuts a street and the front facade of cottages. No off-street parking spaces permitted within 10 feet of any other property line. All of these rules are really good to at least glance at and look at and be familiar with, but it's not necessarily critical as it is to figure out how many units we can fit on that property. Because right up here at the very beginning, we can do 2 times the maximum density of the underlying zone. So we want to just figure out what we can do and then work backwards from there. We might only be able to do 14 cottages because some of them are being squeezed out because of parking requirements. But that's okay. We're going to be familiar with those and finish these out. Right here, pedestrian access. We got to look at make sure pedestrians can move around and get through and all over the property as needed. Minimum 3 feet wide, easy enough. That's fairly skinny. Community buildings, maintenance of common areas, solid waste and recycling, access and collection. This one was a big one. It caught me by surprise. On one of our projects. I did not realize how much space was required to handle all of the garbage and right here we got an entire almost 3 parking spaces taken up due to the trash enclosure and collection. So make sure you plan for that when we're looking at the site plan. Solid waste and recycling, collection points, turnaround for that truck, so forth. Brandon.
Hey, Derek.
Yes, sir. What's happening?
Sorry, I was on the phone when you called.
No worries.
I hope you...
Hey, do you mind if I record this call? I'm doing a little... Go ahead. All right, here we go. I'm calling about this property you have off of 59th Street you sent over my way. What in the world you got going on?
So, and I got to warn you, I have a showing in 10 minutes. I'm driving there.
Yep.
So I might have to cut this conversation short.
Yep.
But anyway,
Is it a showing on this parcel?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's one of my buyers.
Yeah.
You know, my other lot, I started that project, and the realtor in my office got excited about it and wanted me to partner with her.
Yep.
And do another one.
Well, that's what I saw. The owner is you. It's what the world. Okay.
So she tells me she's going to do all the money. She just wants me as a silent partner for my credit, 800 plus credit score and whatever.
Yep.
And I say, okay, let's do it. And we found a house on an acre.
Yep.
Where the house was on the front corner.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
We can develop the rest of that acre and sell the lots.
Yeah.
Well, immediately after we bought it, she broke up with her long-term boyfriend.
Yeah.
Went through an emotional crisis.
Yep.
Moved into the house herself, so we're renting rooms instead of fixing it up into a duplex like we planned.
Yeah.
Quit her job, and she's like, I'm not putting any more money into this. And I wound up putting more money into it than her. And the engineering's done. It's shovel-ready. It actually was ready, shovel-ready in April. And I've talked to about 3 different builders that were interested in it.
Yeah.
I don't actually expect to sell it. We can't obviously subdivide until all the work's done, and we're not doing the work.
Right.
So we just need somebody that wants to come out and do some land development. I don't think it's a good fit for you because we're building, bigger lots. It's zoned R9. These lots are going to be on a hillside, so it should have some views. But there's going to be some retaining wall. That might cost a little bit. We tried to keep the cost low. There's no city sewer. I don't have to put in 330 feet of 27th Avenue, city street. We just have to run a private drive up the hill. Yep.
Because that's all draining down onto 30, what is that?
30th Avenue is what tees into it.
Yeah.
So we're going to extend 30th Avenue, but just as a private drive up the hill.
Yeah.
That land absorbs water. My other lot, we did geotech came out, and put the pipe in the ground, and we waited an hour, and the water moved a half an inch.
Right.
And it was like, if that.
Right.
We poured the water in here with the pipe in the ground, and we could see it go down. So this ground absorbs water.
Yep.
There's not any, but they're still making us put stormwater retention tanks in it and all that.
Sure.
So yeah, that's what the project is. There's a very minor widening on 59th Street in front. I'm hoping that it's a relatively inexpensive thing, but a few builders have acted like they're scared of the slope and the retaining wall.
Huh. Yeah, so you have it listed on RMLS for $350 to $400.
Mm-hmm.
And you paid, if I'm not mistaken, $350 back in 2019.
Yeah, so that's 6 years ago.
Yep.
We're keeping the house though. We got $100,000 into the engineering, so we're selling the 3/4 acre lot. We put a lot into the house too. The house was a wreck. The only costs are your own costs.
Yep. Putting the infrastructure and the dirt and all that stuff together.
Yeah. So if we would sell for less if somebody wants to pay us up front.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the 3 people I talked to said, they just buy the whole thing from us.
Yep.
Give us a free lease, $0 lease on the house, so we can keep our tenants and just keep going like business as usual.
Yep.
And then they'd sell the house back to us for $1 when they were done.
Gotcha.
Somebody wants to pay us up front like that, I think we'd take $350. And you're getting 3/4 of an acre. You're getting, the years it took to get it shovel ready, and you're getting, $100,000 of engineering. I think you're going to do okay. If it costs you $400,000 to develop it, or and $400,000 to us, and I think you'll sell them for $1.2 million.
350 divided by 5 lots, so you're asking $70,000 a paper lot.
Yeah. Yep.
But approved paper lot.
Or $400 if they want to pay at the end.
So 400,000 divided by 5 is 80,000.
If they want to have us continue to pay for it for the next year.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So if I did... So my thought process was I looked at 0.95 acres divided by the base land use times 200%, which allows 16 cottages. Tracking with me?
Yeah.
So now,
is the city going to let you do that?
Oh yeah. It's written right into their code. It totally allows it.
Oh.
So
okay.
now I go 350, or let's just say 450, house and everything. Whatever, 500.
Well, I'm not selling the house for. If you want to just buy the whole thing, well, I'm just telling you. I mean, the house without the land around it's worth $550. So it's a whole different.
So let's say 550 divided by 16. That's $34,000 a door.
Yeah.
Okay, but bear with me a second. Bear with me a second. Otherwise, I go 5 lots times 3 units on each lot, a house and an ADU each. Because City of Vancouver allows 2 ADUs for each one.
Yep. That's what I'm doing on my lots that I'm keeping.
Yep.
I'm going to double ADU built in, attached.
That's 15 lots, or 15 doors, excuse me, over 5 lots. So now we got 15 to divide by. So we go, if you're telling me you'll sell it to me dirt only, paper lot, ready to go, 350,000 divided by 15, that's $23,000, 333 per door.
Yeah. Well, if you can make it work, that could be great for you. You don't have everything there. There's if you're looking at the size of the lots.
Yep.
There is a footprint limit on the size because we didn't want the stormwater retention to be so huge. And I thought there was a footprint that was well within. I mean, they originally designed the storm water retention based on you using every square foot of the lot.
Gotcha. We could revise that. We have engineers in-house.
Okay. The other thing is there is I don't remember the number of the lot, the southwest corner lot.
Lot 4.
Hammerhead. Okay. There's a hammerhead turnaround on that lot. You lose the southern part of that lot, 20 feet of the southern part of that lot for turnaround.
Yep, for the fire, trash collection and fire stuff, yep. Is lot 2 at the top enter off of 59th Street?
Yes.
Perfect.
And that's why that road we were able to do smaller because it can only service 4 lots and stay private drive. So our thought was private drive. I was even thinking for those 4 lots, if I was the builder, I'd put a gate at the bottom.
That's an option.
Keep it private.
Right.
But you might want to do that too to keep your cottage cluster nice and private and just make it feel a little higher scale.
Right. Can you send me a copy of that engineering that you have so I can review that and look at it with my engineer?
You bet. I'm going to have to do it later.
That's fine. No, 10 minutes came and went. Sheesh, it's flying. 11:30. Okay. Yep.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brendan. Okay, bye.
Bye.
And that is how developing is done. You have no idea what you're going to get into. I promise you, when I started this little video and I opened this link, I did not know what we were going to get into. And this looks like a deal that might make sense. It is so interesting, the trails and the stories and where they lead and background and details and nuances, that often it is incredibly exciting and incredibly terrifying that what is it about this piece of property that I don't know? We need to investigate and make sure we dig into the details. Interestingly enough, we got in touch with the owner and had great conversation with him as to how he got into the project, where he's at, how motivated he is to sell it. He's not wanting to put another dime into it. And then in conjunction with how this might work for Wolf Industries. Stay tuned, comment below, and look forward to it on the next video. And we'll see you on the next one.